Hey, Madden gamers, it's Kobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and I've got one more defense that I want to show out of the 3-3-5 penny 3-high, where I show a bunch of different blitz setups where you can get some pressure on a quarterback. The name of the play that we use for this video breakdown is the 3-3-5 penny 3-high Mike Sim 2. You can only find this out of one playbook, which is the Cardinals. Before I actually show the multiple blitz setups out, the 3-3-5 penny 3-high Mike Sim 2, let's take a look at the default pass coverages and pass rush assignments. Now, this particular defense is a cover 2 defense, so you have those two defenders right there playing the deep zones right there, and then you have this defender to the inside of them playing a mid read. You have the two corners that are going to be playing the cloud flats as you look at it. And then down there in the line of scrimmage, you got these two edge rushers are actually going to be dropping back into hook curls as you look at your screen. And then you got these 4 pass rushers. You got these 3 defensive linemen, and then you got this linebacker who's going to be blitzing through the A-gap. Now, as the name of the play indicates, it is called a simulation blitz. So it's Mike Sim 2, which means what really goes on with this guy's really the one that they're going to be looking at. It looks like it's going to be a blitz, even though it's not. He's supposed to be coming through here through this A-gap and applying the pressure, but it's only a 4-man pass rush. But if you remember right, there were a lot of other defenses that I've shown from this particular formation where you get that same type of pressure, but you end up having to see 5 or 6 defenders coming after the quarterback. So what your opponent might see, if you were to mix this in, they may see this defense coming in, but really you only have a 4-man pass rush with those 7 defenders dropping back into pass coverage. And then if you mix it in with another defense from this particular formation where you're blitzing, then they may think that it's just a 4-man pass rush, but it turns into a 5-man pass rush and you get some pressure off the edge. Or you can do what I'm about to show here and actually turn this into a defense where you can actually get some pressure on the quarterback with either a 4-man, 5-man, or even a 6-man pass rush. All right, so what I want to do here before I actually start showing you those blitz setups, let's just take a look at this particular defense without making any type of pre-snap adjustments. And right there you can see it's a 4-man pass rush. Hopefully one of those guys will get some pressure on the quarterback by shed blocking. All right, let's go ahead and get into it and show you those multiple blitz setups. The first blitz setup that I want to show out, the 3-3-5 penny 3-high Mike Sim 2, is one you may not want to run simply because of numbers. And what you're going to end up doing here is you're going to have 6 defenders rushing the quarterback. Now, the easiest way to do this one would be to basically slant the defensive line to the outside, the way I like to run it. Now, there's a couple other ways you could run it, but that's the easiest way that I like to do it. And do something like this where you call QB contain. And then what you're going to end up doing is getting some, some edge rush coming off the edge. Plus, you get that linebacker on occasion coming in and getting that pressure on the quarterback. So that's one right there. But Ken, if you do this, let's go and do it again. Same thing, slant the defensive line to the outside, and then do this with the QB contain. If you decide to do this, just remember, yes, you're going to get that pressure on the quarterback, but you're also leaving yourself open to a lot of short passes underneath, especially over the short middle of the field. Because what you might have to do with this, let's just run it one more time here. So we're going to go ahead and do QB contain as you look at it, slant to the defensive line out. You're going to want to definitely take control of this guy right here. Now remember, he's supposed to be playing that mid read. Let's go ahead and run it one more time here as you look at it. And then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to bring him down and try to take away any short middle over the middle. Like I said, very risky defense, something you might want to run in a 3rd and long situation. I just want to point that out to you. And you're not always guaranteed to get that linebacker in as far as coming through that A-gap. The second blitz setup that I want to show out, the 3-3-5 penny 3-high Mike Sim 2, is one that's very similar to that first one. The only difference is this is going to turn into a 5-man pass rush. So again, you're going to slant the defensive line to the outside, call QB contain, and then you just want to simply take control of this linebacker here, the one that's supposed to be blitzing over the middle right there as you look at it. And what you're going to do here is you're simply just going to drop him back into coverage right there as you look at it. That's a real easy way to do it. And then that way you just try to take away the short middle passes. Now again, it's a 5-man pass rush. A little bit better than what I just showed earlier, but at least you get an extra defender dropping back, but there's still an opportunity for your opponent to beat you underneath with a lot of short passes underneath. So I want to point that out to you. Let's just run it one more time. We're going to call the slant to the outside, call QB contain, and then we're going to take control of that linebacker and do something like that where we get some edge pressure off the quarterback. You can see right there as you looked at it, the coverages were a little bit shady over the short middle of the field, but that's something that you could do to get some pressure on the quarterback with this particular defense. This next blitz setup that I want to show out, a 3-3-5 penny 3-high Mike Sim 2, is one where we're going to get some A-gap pressure coming from this linebacker. So let's go ahead and take a look at it, the way to set this one up. Now, what you want to do with this particular defense is you're going to slant the defensive line this time to the left as you look at your screen. And then what you want to do is you want to shift this linebacker to the left. And if this is set up just right, the way I've got it here is you look at it, what you should see is something like this, where he's going to loop around this particular defender right there, the one in the nose tackle. And what he'll do is he'll actually end up coming through that A gap between the center and the right guard and apply that pressure on the quarterback. Let's go ahead and run it and take a look at it. Now, keep in mind, this is a 6-man pass rush. Now, we'll change that up here in just a second. We'll get it to a 5-man pass rush. But let's go ahead and run it, and you'll see right there he does, in fact, get through there and applies that pressure on the quarterback. So that's pretty nice right there. Again, it's a 6-man pass rush. You got 5 defenders dropping back in the pass coverage. You may not want to run that way. But what you can do is, again, is you can slant this defensive line to the left as you look at it. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we can shift this linebacker over towards the left side. And then we can take control of this guy right here. And rather than rushing him, what we can do is we can drop him back into pass coverage and get something like that. So that's kind of nice with that as far as getting some pressure on the quarterback. Something else you can try right here as you look at it, let's do the same thing here. Let's go ahead and slant that defensive line towards the left as you look at it. And then we'll move that linebacker or shift him over towards the left. And then this time, I'm going to put him into a bluff blitz. Now, this is this particular defender as you look at it. I put him into a bluff blitz. And then say you might want to switch off to some other defender. Maybe you want to take control of this, this safety right here is playing this mid-read right here. And then what you can do here is you can do something like that where you drop them down into that, underneath coverage right there. And then you turn this into a 5-man pass rush. So that's another way of running. Let's do it one more time here as you look at it. So you can shift that linebacker to the left, slant the defensive line over towards the left as you look at it. And then here, this guy right here, you can simply put him into a bluff blitz, such as you see on your screen, and take control of this guy right here. You may even want to bring him down near the line of scrimmage. It's just really up to you. It doesn't really matter. But then you're going to end up getting that A-gap pressure right there. Something else you can do right there just to mix things up. So that's another setup that you can run from this particular defense. This next blitz setup I'm about to show is going to bring some pressure on the quarterback coming from this particular defender right here as you look at off the edge. But it's also going to make things look a little bit different as far as the pass coverage is. So let's go and take a look at this one. What you're going to hear is show blitz. Now, that looks pretty intimidating as you look at it. It looks like a cover 3 defense. You got these, you got these defenders down in the box. This is actually something they might be able to stop the run with. You got all these guys down in the box, and you got this guy playing over the top. Now, something you might want to do with this one to get that pressure on the quarterback, just to give him this illusion, you could just run it as is and just do a 4-man pass rush, like I talked about earlier, and then where you drop this guy back into pass coverage right here, and then you turn it into a 3-man pass rush. But it really looks intimidating, right? As you look at this particular play I'm showing here. But if you do want to bring that edge rush coming from that particular defender, one I just pointed out here, this guy right here, what you can do here is I'm going to go ahead and do something like this. I'm going to slant the defensive line to the outside, such as you see on your screen right there. And then this particular defender over here, what I'm going to do with him, this one right here, I'm going to put him into a bluff blitz, but I'm going to control him as you look at it. So I'm going to put him into a bluff blitz and then do something like this. And then we're going to get that edge pressure coming off the edge. So that's another way of running that. Makes this defense look pretty intimidating by simply, doing this show blitz, slanting the defensive line to the outside. Go ahead and slant outside as far as the pass rushers. You take control of this guy. Now, you don't even have to really, put him into a bluff blitz. As long as you're in control of him, you don't even have to do that. You can just take control of him like this and do something like that. Now, again, the other way we're running this is kind of what I showed earlier. Let's do the same thing here with the show blitz. Use something like that as you look at it. And again, you go ahead and slant the defensive line to the outside as you look there, and you're going to put this guy into a bluff blitz. And then this one right here, you take control of that defender's playing the mid read, and then you do something like this where you just kind of go underneath and try to take away some of those short routes over the middle. So there's some things right there that you could do as far as bringing some pressure on the quarterback. All right, I got one more blitz setup that I want to show out, a 3-3-5 penny 3-high Mike Sim 2. And this one's going to work off the last blitz setup I showed where it looks more intimidating by bringing those safeties down closer to the line of scrimmage. So what you're going to do here is you're going to show blitz as you look at your screen. You want to slant the defensive line to the outside, such as you see right there. Now, this one, you can either do this with a quick adjust simply by taking control of this guy here if you want, or you can do the quick adjust and put him into a bluff blitz. And then you're going to take control of this linebacker, the one that's supposed to be blitzing right here. And then you're just simply going to allow him to come up a couple yards towards the line of scrimmage. And then what you want to do is you want to drop him back into pass coverage. Let's go ahead and take a look at this setup, and I'll show you how this one works. So let's go ahead and run it right there. And then you're just going to drop him back into pass coverage. And you end up getting just a 4-man pass rush. So this is kind of nice as far as this particular play if you're looking to get some pressure on the quarterback. Let's go into the X and O's of this particular play and take a look at it. From the All-22 and instant replay, we can get a better idea how the X and O's of this particular blitz setup works as far as getting that pressure on the quarterback coming from this particular linebacker from the Mike Sim 2 out of the 3-3-5 penny 3 high. So what we're looking to do here is to get some pressure coming off the edge from this guy right here with just a 4-man pass rush. Now, as I talked about earlier, to set this one up, you want to slant the defensive line to the outside. Next, you want to show blitz, which is this going to do is it's going to bring these these safeties closer to the line of scrimmage. As I mentioned earlier, it's going to make it look a little bit more intimidating. And then as you look at it to your opponent, he might be thinking this is a cover 3 defense, even though these two defenders here, now I know this is risky when you think about it, but these two guys here are going to drop back into these deep halves as you look at it. So that's kind of risky by bringing them up, but that's something you could kind of show. Might be a defense you might want to run in the red zone. You know, they're getting down inside that 10-yard line. They don't have as far to, they don't have as much. You get the, what am I trying to say to you? You get the back of the end zone as a 12th man, if you will, and that will allow you maybe to run this particular defense. So this might be a defense you might consider running down inside the red zone. But at any rate, what we're looking to do here, as I pointed out earlier, we're looking to get some pressure coming from this guy off the edge. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to put this guy into a bluff blitz. So initially, what he's going to do here, he's going to act like he's going to rush the quarterback, and then he's going to go play this 3-receiver hook, something like this. As you look at it, he'll play that 3-receiver hook as you look at your screen. And then what's going to happen is we're going to take control of this defender right here, and then we're going to allow him to fake blitz. So we're going to have him come up a couple yards right here, and then we're going to drop him back into hook zone over this area here, especially if they're on a, in this gun bunch formation where they have trips to the right side as you look at your screen. So we're going to try to cover that area of the field as you look at it. So let's go ahead and run through and take a look at it. And right there, you can see as you look at your screen coming off the edge, this guy's clearly getting the pressure on the quarterback, not getting blocked. And then from a standpoint of coverages, right now I'm kind of working my way over here towards the right. As you look at it, I'm trying to take this away. And you can kind of see everything over the short middle of the field is covered. Even that deep area is covered. But what is not covered with this particular defense is going to be something with these guys right here. These guys working their way out. Now, the cool thing about this particular defense, which I didn't show earlier, is you can always do the shade underneath. If you do that, what that's going to do is it's going to bring these two defenders, these two corners right here. What they would end up doing is, playing up a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Again, this might be something you might consider running in the red zone because, you got, like I said, it's kind of like where you got that 12th man and you don't have as much to cover. So that might be something you might consider, running with this particular defense as you look at it. But at any rate, you can see the pressures coming off the edge. And right there, we end up getting pressure on the quarterback with just a 4-man pass rush. So you get these 4 defenders that are coming after the quarterback, which is nice. So again, this is another way of setting this one up. I just wanted to show to you guys here, get a little bit more into the X and O's of this particular setup. All right, guys, I want to tell you guys, thank you for watching this video breakdown. I appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment if you like the blitz. You got any other blitzes you'd like to see, let me know, or any other plays. I know there's going to be an update coming very shortly that's going to have a lot more offensive plays in it. I'm hoping there's some defensive plays. I can't remember if there is or not, but I hope so. If not, it's great. There's a lot of good blitzes in this year's game, which I do appreciate because in some years past, there hasn't been as much heat as I might like. So again, guys, I appreciate you watching the video breakdown. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for more Madden guides, strategy, and tips content. See you in the next video.